in charge of forum. But yeah, so today after lunch, you'll be talking with your advisor about when your group is hosting, planning out who wants to take a risk, who wants to whatever. So like we host the last forum in January. So yeah. My plan to get rid of more candy, because I keep bringing more candy to school so that I will stop eating it at home. But I haven't been giving out as much because we aren't doing like the Khan Academy prizes again. And there's chocolate in here now. Like, yeah. So my plan is the class with the highest percentage of turned in homework is going to get candy. Just because I need to keep getting rid of candy. So if your homework is done, turn it in. If it's not, try to get it done by the end of the day. And if you can't do that, maybe make a plan to get it done over the weekend and try to do better next week. Next week, there's also not like a homework every single day because like we have a mastery on Tuesday. We're doing Jenga on Monday. So like next week should also be another manageable week. I'm trying to help you guys start this semester strong. All right, questions from 431 or 432 that were too difficult to solve. So you got to tell me which homework so I can go find it, and then what problem number. So Harrison?
Are we not allowed to do 4, 3, 3?
No, we'll talk about that next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is still your homework tonight. And also, a couple people have come to ask me questions, and as soon as I pull up homework help, it tells you exactly what to do. Like, literally, when there's a problem, and I forget what homework it's from, but it's asking you to figure out the unit price. And if you pull up homework help, it says, to figure out the unit price, we need to divide the price by the pounds, and it literally tells you what to do. So another reminder, please keep using homework help. It's pretty helpful. Yeah, I think it was 432, wasn't it? Questions, 431, 432. Jay.
4-1.
Well, which homework is it on? 432? Okay, because I just got to find it in my... This. So, if you go to homework help on this, it essentially just like talks through like, all right, you need to put this into its other form. But the thing that tends to like trip us up a bit is the whole words or pictures thing. So, 9/20, right? The right way to say this is 9/20ths or 9/20. So if you need a chair, you can grab them over like wherever, or you can like one of the stools back there broke yesterday, so I gotta try to go find another stool like in a store or whatever somewhere. Oh yeah, and there's also a computer chair back there. I just feel bad, like you need a chair. You need to go forward. If you don't want one, that's fine, but you need to have it as an option. So if I want to do words, you could literally write 9/20. That could just be what you write for the words part. The picture, if you want to, you could draw 20 things, circles, squares, whatever, and shade in 9 of them. For the decimal, it would probably help us to get to either over 10 or over 100. And since we're already over 20, I don't know that I can go back to 10 very easily. I think it'd be better to go up to 100. How do I turn 20 into 100? Times 5. So we do that here, and we get 45 hundredths. So my decimal would be 45 hundredths. And that also tells me my percent, since percent is out of 100, now I have my percent given to me. Other questions from those homeworks? All right, if they're done, turn them in. If they're not, try to get them done. So I know some of us turned stuff in yesterday, but I'm a little worried at how little movement there is right now. All right, so you do not need algebra tiles to do this, but you could use algebra tiles if you wanted to. Well, we're trying to remember this is not on your paper. This is really just for you guys to talk about. You can bring your paper, like, go ahead and turn stuff in. That's why I'm staying over here. Like, turn it in if you need to. We want to try to simplify this as far as we can. And by that, I mean, like, if things combine and make 0, we could get rid of it, or we wouldn't talk about it, right? But before we go to simplify this, let's just make sure that we can talk about what we see up here. So, like, by what we see, I mean, is it positive? Is it negative? How many of them do we have? Make sure that we name it correctly. this is not on your paper, right? We're just up here. So people looking at papers, I can kind of tell that this is not the set of cards that I wanted.
Wrong peoples.
All right, so Kyra, when we're shaded in, is that positive or negative? Positive. Harrison, how would we talk about this? How could you say what that is?
2x squared.
Yeah, so if we wanted to, and you guys could write this down in your paper, good practice. You don't have to, but you could if you want to. Rad, we already talked about the 2x squareds. Give me something else that's up there. 2 ones, sure. I'm gonna actually put that like over here because I like to go kind of in a certain order. Griffin, give me something else.
2 x's.
2 x's, positive, right?
Yeah.
I assume you meant positive because you didn't say negative. Callum, give me something else.
2
Ooh, the negative x's. Soul, give me something else. 3 negative ones. Okay, so now we want to combine. We want to clean up. We want to simplify. So talk with your partner. This is not part of your homework, just by the way. Like, I know you're writing down what I'm writing, but this is your homework. But this could just be on graph paper. That's why I said that we needed graph paper. How could we make zeros out of this? What do we end up getting left over? Chat with each other. Like, try to visualize it up here. If you really want tiles, you can come get tiles if you want, but I don't think you need them.
Why do you have to put the parentheses around it?
You don't have to. You could write it as like minus, but it's just nicer. Like, to group negatives in parentheses just makes it nicer and also more like obvious in a way. Because if it's just the negative symbol, you might accidentally like miss it. But if it's a negative that's in parentheses, it's kind of more like, hey, this is negative.
Also, the plus would turn into a negative.
What do you mean?
The plus would turn into a
Minus?
subtraction.
Yeah, if we wanted to do it like that. Link, we found these this morning during math counts, and I'm not sure if they were yours from yesterday at extensions or what. Oh my.
Those are yours. It's my beautiful hand. It's like
Jenny's
beautiful
still not
hieroglyphic
here. Jenny, feel better. I don't know if you're watching our videos, but I hope so. Isaac B, tell me how I could make a zero on my mat.
You could take both of the, for 1x positive, 1x.
I agree with you that you could have actually kind of done more when you said both, but that totally works. Monsef, how do I make another zero?
The positive x and the negative x.
Yeah, and that's where that'd be a little hard to draw unless I just do this, right? Because I had 2 positive x's and 2 negative x's. Or if I look over here, right, a 2x plus a negative 2x, they fight. They're opposites. We talked yesterday about how that leaves us with 0. Sophie, what else? Can I make more zeros? How? Yeah, over here. Isaac K, can I make more zeros? So what am I left with now?
2x squared plus negative.
Any questions on how we got to that? Because this sort of thing is on your homework. Does that make sense? Now, if you're trying to draw this on your graph paper, please remember that positive we shade in, right? When we're drawing it, like we shade in positive to say this takes up positive space. So like this, I'm glad I'm wearing a t-shirt like this again, like inside the O would be considered negative space. Like when you're making the design, like my digital art people know this. You can't have a white background, you have to have like an invisible background, right? You're like a transparent background. To do something like this, the ink is positive. Inside where there's no ink, that would be considered negative space. On your image, it would be like invisible. It would be transparent. Where you look up images and you see it like looks like graph paper behind it, that's kind of showing you like this image has a blank background, not a white background, blank background. All right, so we now get into what if I was you, I would make a big note on your paper because this will help you to come back and use this to help you. We're going to practice some distributive property now. And it sounds sort of maybe kind of scary, but guys, it's just multiplying. Distributive property is just a fancy way of multiplying. So if I was you, I would write that on your graph paper. Make it obvious that this is going to be some distributive property examples. And we use the distributive property when we have situations like this. So literally right above me, and this poster is going to stay here, right? So if something like this is on your test next week, this poster's still here. If I can't do B plus C, if I can't do that, I have to break up the multiplication. So for example, when they ask us to talk about the area, how do I find area of a rectangle? Length times width, we know that, right? So if they tell me the width is 3 and the length is x plus 5, what we need to set up is 3, that's highlighter, times x plus 5. So please put that on your paper. Now a lot of times when you're looking at distributive property, this was really awkward that I can't see you, by the way, Callum. It's stressing me out that this tower's here. A lot of times people put the arrows on top. You can, that's fine. My advice though is put the arrows below, because we tend to work math going down, right? Like we're gonna bring this down. I'm not gonna go up with my work. I'm gonna come down with my work. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I've been doing this for 13 years. If you don't draw the arrows, you are asking, like, I don't know how to phrase this right. You're gonna probably forget the second multiplication. I'm not saying anything about you. I'm saying from the 12 years of kids I've seen come through. When I'm marking things wrong in their test and I call them up, and they're like, 3x plus 5. I'm like, yeah, I agree with 3x because this is 3 times x. But what's the second arrow telling me to do? It's 3 times 5. Each of these arrows is a multiplication. So on your paper, I would draw the arrows. I would write the work that it's actually 3 times x and 3 times 5, which then comes out to be, we're writing things down right now, bro. I don't know why you're choosing not to. So what's 3 times x? 3x. What's 3 times 5? 15. So we get 3x and 15, and that is our answer. We cannot put those together. We cannot do that addition. So literally, we're done. That's it. Questions? Because now you're going to try one on your own, well, with your partner or whatever. If we have two groups of 3x minus 2, careful, there's a minus here. If we have two equal groups, okay, two groups of 3x minus 2, I would start by drawing the arrows. Right, but I don't control you. If you don't want to draw the arrows, I'm just telling you, it's risky. I would start by drawing the arrows. Then I would write down what you're multiplying. Careful here. And then we can write down what we actually get. My first arrow. Link, what is my first arrow telling me to do?
Multiply 2 times 3x.
2 times 3x. Asher, what's my second arrow telling me to do? 2 times what? 2 times what? It's negative. Guys, this is why I hate subtraction.
What?
This is why I hate subtraction. If I change this to make it 3x plus negative 2, if I rewrite this instead of using subtraction and I use negative instead of subtraction, like we talked about way back in the fall, it's easier for my brain to remember, oh yeah, that's negative. if you leave it as a minus, it like, okay, Asher could have left it as a minus as long as he would remember to bring the minus down with him, which again is easy to forget. Like if you do those multiplications and you didn't write down -2, it's easy to forget about it. But what does 2 times 3x give us?
6x.
6x. 2 times -2? -4. So you could either write 6x minus 4 or 6x plus -4. I think that's better to say 6x plus -4. But again, I don't control you. I'm not your dad. Questions? We got to make sure we distribute to give that multiplication to. Now, if there were 3 different things inside the parenthesis, like let's say you had x plus 5 plus k. Exactly, another variable, right? Like whatever variable you can think of. You distribute it to everything, right? This doesn't only happen if there's just 2 things. If there were 3 things in the parentheses, you draw 3 arrows. If there were 4 things in the parentheses, we draw 4 arrows and do all that multiplication. Let's try this. I want you guys to try to write it on your own. 4 rows. If we had 4 rows of 2x plus 1, how would we write if we have 4 rows of, oh yeah, of is one of those indicator words. Of tells me we're multiplying 4 rows of 2x plus 1. So Anna, can you tell me how you think we might write this?
4 and then 2x plus 1 in parentheses.
Yeah, 4, and then in parentheses are 2x plus 1. Mason's still not here. Mason, get back to school at some point, dude. Feel better. Izzy,
Yeah.
what do I do now?
I would draw the arrows.
Yes! Sorry, I got really excited because the morning class just wanted to tell me I would multiply. I'm like, what do you mean? Draw the arrows first. I'm telling you. I even write it on your test. Like, I wrote a little note on your test, like, reminder, my advice is draw arrows. Then, after I drew the arrows, I now know to do,
Multiply.
say more.
So you do the 4 times the 2x, and then
Love it.
separately you do the 4 times the 1.
Yeah, love that you said separately, right? We're thinking about those as 2 separate things. So what is 4 times 2x?
4,
8x.
8x.
Careful, yeah, if you had 4 groups of 2x, we get 8x. 4 times 1?
4.
Questions? You're gonna see problems like this on your homework where it gives you words and you have to turn it into the math. How could I write a number increased by 1 if I don't know what the number is? Like, they say a number increased by 1, but I don't know what that number is. Oh yeah, it's a number. I can just use x. So a number plus 1, then triple. By it saying then, it means, hey, I gotta group this. And here's the cool thing about distributive property, and you might not think it's cool. Let's say you write it in order of the sentence. This still tells you you gotta do that.
I have a
But
question.
my advice, don't do that. It still works the same. But my advice, putting the times 3 after makes it tougher for your brain. I would put it in front. Even though they say it last, I would put it out here, do my arrows, and then do my math. So we get 3 times x, 3 times 1, or, yeah. Questions? You were looking tired. And then I realized, oh crap, we might hit him. Sorry. Alright, so, I'm just going to make accelerated and put it back together. Because they're playing. Alright, now that you're woken back up, this is an algebra mat, or sorry, this is an expression mat, but somebody already wrote out what was on the mat. So on our graph paper, what we're going to write is we have a -1 plus we have -4x plus +2 plus 2x plus x. I want you to talk with your partner about what of those numbers can you put together, what can't be put together, and like what would we end up getting if we clean all this up and like combine everything that we can. Remember, don't combine what you're not allowed to combine, but combine everything that you can. I lied. Now that I'm giving you time to work on that, I'm going to do it. You guys excited for OSU tonight?
Wait, what's that?
OSU's playing Texas in the semifinals.
No, I'm
Are
not.
they playing
'Cause I'm
here?
gonna have to go somewhere.
No, they're playing in Texas, but it might snow on them. Like Texas is expected to get cold temperatures. It literally might snow in Texas. It's gonna snow here tonight. Hope you're aware of that. We're getting 2 to 4 inches.
Ooh, we might have a snow day.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
A snow day tomorrow?
Yes.
No, yeah, there's gonna be snow outside and it's gonna be dead.
It's Saturday. Yeah, we can have a snow day on a Saturday.
Yes, you can.
I mean, do you go to school?
It's a day of snow. It's just
I
a
mean,
day.
I sometimes do, but I don't know if you guys do.
It's just a day off school is just called a snow day. Yeah, why do we call it?
I hope you guys go out and sled and have snowball fights and actually like enjoy it. All right,
That's what I did last.
because I want to make sure we get
Mine's
some homework
snowball
time.
fight.
Jay, can you tell me something up here I can put together?
2 negatives.
What do you mean? I need you to give me like some numbers, some X's. Like you need to be more specific. I want you to say out loud because I'm hoping that you will catch your mistake. I'm only pushing back on you because what you're saying is not good. But this is risk-free mistake zone, right? Like you can make mistakes in here, it doesn't matter. What's the first number you're talking about? Negative what? The first number? Because I don't see -4 up here. I see -4x. That matters, right? The difference between a 1 tile and an x tile matters. So can I put these together? No. That's the trap door up here, guys. You cannot put those together. Because one is a constant and one is x's. But at least we're making that mistake now instead of on our homework. So Kyra, what can I put together? Ooh, my x's, because they are the same shapes, my x's could go together. So if you had -4x's, right, guys, if you visualize this, 4 of those red x's, right, remember our x tiles? 4 of these, 2 of these, who's going to win, positive or negative? The negative, right? What do we get there? But then, yeah, there's also, so we took care of this, we used it. We took care of this, we used it. Now we need to use that. So what is -2x plus x? So remember, this is a 1x. It's a single x. We don't have to write the 1. It's a single x, but I'm going to write the 1. Who's stronger here, the negative or the positive? Negative, so I used this, right? I'm going to make a little mark. So this comes out to be -1x, or you could just write -x. Izzy?
So wouldn't it be easier and would like allow you to skip a step if you just added the positive 2x and
You
the
could have,
x
yeah.
and the x and the-
Did we have to?
I mean no, but I feel like it would like help you skip a step.
Yeah.
Make it more efficient.
Guys, there are many right ways to do math. You don't have to do it the same as somebody else, but we do need to get the same answer. So here's part of our answer, right? Because this went over here and we used it. So we've got -1x. So I don't like that that's writing in yellow because I'm color coding here. So -1x, then what can I do? Harrison, what can I do?
I think.
If we look back to the original, we can see what I didn't use yet.
The X, you didn't use the X and the -1, but
I used this over here, that X. You're
No,
right, I didn't use the -1.
sorry, I thought I said the 2. My brain. is
Yeah,
not-
our constants, right, guys? If it's just a number, it's a constant. We know what it is. So -1 plus 2, what would that give us? Just 1. And our answer would be -1x plus 1. Questions? If I was you, I would go look at question 113 right now. You have the rest of this time to work on homework, but if I was you, I would jump right to problem 113. Talk it through with your partner. I will put homework help on the board if anyone would like to come up and use homework help.